if I asked a kid to sit in front of a backdrop of donuts and there was nothing around her, and I asked a kid to act like there were donuts or sit there and then take her picture, and then she would see the picture with the donuts later, there's no memory there. There's no experience that that kid had.
Yeah.
But when that kid is sitting surrounded by stacks of donuts that are as tall as she is sitting, that's now an experience that that child is going to remember. A baseball player, when we catch the paper on fire, so it looks like this baseball player hit the ball through the paper so hard that it caught the paper on fire, that kid remembers being in the yard and, his dad helping put the fire out before it caught the grass on fire. There's a whole experience there. And so I want that kid to feel like the king or the queen for the day, the star. Someone other than their family members took time to do things for them and listen, because this is all about them and their favorite candies there for the snack, or the favorite music is playing while we're shooting, whatever the case may be. So.
Welcome to today's Heart of the Hustle. I am here with Paula Ward from Paula Ward Photography. So excited you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's been a long time coming.
I know. We've known each other for years, it feels like, and have worked together as a mentor, and you've helped me here in my studio. So I'm super excited to have you on that side of the desk, finally. So tell us about Paula Ward Photography.
Well, after 25 years in corporate and doing photography on the side, when I officially retired, I just decided to make it official and make it a full-on business.
Yeah.
I'd always had the camera in my hand, and it was time to turn it into the business that I had always kind of imagined that it would be.
Yeah. When did you start doing photography?
I started doing photography when my kids were little. I was always that mom with the camera, for sure. More professionally doing photography probably in about 2015, 14, somewhere in there. I started doing workshops and going to photography classes and studying.
See, you must have been a better photographer than me, because I had to take classes while I was pregnant, or else who knows what those pictures of Walden Little look like when he was little. I needed those classes because I wasn't that great before that.
I don't know that I'm a better photographer than what you are right now, but the memories, right? I'm not one of those people who remembers like my second and third and fourth grade teachers and what street I lived on and who my best friend was in kindergarten. I don't remember any of those. So the memories come from the images and the pictures. So I've just always taken those pictures to have those memories. It's just always been a thing for me.
And it's so important. I feel like now we do it on our phones. That it gets kind of lost, right? I miss having actual pictures.
Yeah.
In an actual like physical
photo album.
Yeah. I just was going through all of my dad was the keeper of all the family photos. And so we have photos going back like 3 generations from like the 1800s. It's really, you would love them. I'll have to show them to you. Yeah. It's really, really neat. And I have been putting them into photo albums. And I couldn't even, I was like, where does one even go to buy a photo album? Where? But I loved it. It's so fun. And I'm still going through it. It's going to take me months to do it. But there's something about that piece of paper that I think in a weird way is going to get passed down more than digital.
Right. Digital, think about all your digital files, not just pictures, but just your digital files. How many thumb drives do you have them on? How many, can you go find it quickly? And then is it all put together in a way that tells a story or not? And cell phone photos have their place. Don't get me wrong. I have a ton of cell phone photos myself, and I create little albums in my phone app. But I also print a lot of my photos. I have a big wall that has tons of just the 4x6 prints that I change out, every other month or so. So there is something about a print, and then there's something about it even better when it's hanging on a wall or when it's put together in a story.
So tell me, what do you specialize in when it comes to photography?
Well, I have 2 sides of my business. I very much have a family and children side, and then I have more of a brand, personal branding side. So my children's photography comes from a place of capturing that kid as they are in that moment. So it's, the funny faces they make, the silly things they say and do, the things they think about, what are their favorite things, what are they going to, be when they grow up, if they were king for the day or queen for the day, what would their schedule be? They get to make their own schedule, because as parents, in the moment, we love it. We think we're going to remember it forever. There's no way we're ever going to forget that. And then we find ourselves sitting there going, remember that funny thing they said? What was that? And we forget it. So I like to capture that. And I do that in two ways. I do it with the magazines, and I do it with in-the-box photography. And then the personal branding has sort of shifted over the last few months. It's been talking to moms with my marketing is one thing, but trying to talk to business owners with my marketing, doing that at the same time was not clear. I definitely did not have clarity in my business messaging. And so I split them out. And so I talk about them very separately now. So Story First by Paula is where I do the personal branding. And what I found there was that business owners were coming looking for those personal branding images, but that's really all they knew. They knew they needed some images. They didn't know what they were for. Maybe they knew what they were for. They're for social media and for my website and maybe for some print flyers. But what their purpose was, they didn't know. What the story was, they didn't know. So, wasn't planning on it, but pulled all that sales and marketing, experience from corporate out again and started working with them. What is the story they're trying to tell? What makes them unique? Why should someone hire them versus the 10 other people who are doing the same thing that they do? And then the added piece that I think I bring to it is who's their ideal client. We can tell your story in a lot of ways, but we need to tell it in the way that's actually going to attract their ideal client and the people that they want to work with. So the great example of that always is, should you be toasting? Everybody wants the toast picture, right, for personal branding, whether it be a glass of wine or a glass of champagne, they want the toast picture. And that's great if your ideal client is going to respond to that. If it's going to turn your ideal client off, then we shouldn't use that picture, no matter what story it tells. So marrying up that story of the uniqueness of the founder versus, and tying it to their ideal client is kind of where my niche comes in on the personal branding side.
And then you can take all of that and bring it into the actual shoot.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, and I'm doing my brand shoot next week. I do mine every quarter. It's so great. I have a photographer friend, and we take each other's pictures, and then we get to edit our own pictures. Yeah. It's a great trait. But I always think, we go to clothes first, right? Okay, these are the suits I need to wear and that type of thing. But, talking to you in preparation for the show reminded me, like, okay, what are the props?
Right.
Like, what are the things I need to bring? What story am I trying to tell?
Where should you be? What should you be doing? What's in the background? I think you have your red and your glasses, right? And that's something that you may or may not want to get away from, but you're probably not going to be able to get away from it, right? Without some very concerted effort. But it does go deeper than that. They need to see you. There's lots of things about you, right? You are friendly and welcoming and lively, and you have expertise in this marketing area. So they need to see you doing that marketing in that way. And then again, it depends on who you're trying to attract for your client. If you're going after someone, what are they looking for? What do they respond to? How are they going to feel more connected to you when they see these images? And then, it creates the shot list. And then from there, it's easy.
Yeah. But people don't know how to do that. Right? That's a very specific kind of skill set.
Yeah.
And you mentioned doing a lot of marketing, like going back to your corporate world. Tell us what did you do in corporate? Because you were 25 years in corporate before this?
Yeah, almost 27 years before I retired. And as you can imagine, with that long of time, I had about every job there was. So I started in HR, moved into a small division doing our fend and food service business. But really, the lessons I learned from that time were problem solving and the power of story. And then I learned that I'm really a good translator between people who don't really speak the same language. So sales and marketing people really need someone to help bridge that gap. Sales and finance people need someone to bridge that gap. We built systems, right? So the coders and the people who were building the tools needed someone to talk to the end users because they don't speak the same language. So that skill served me very well in those years and all the jobs that I had. And I think it plays even today, right, in the photography and trying to really kind of get underneath and understand what's the real story under there.
And not just, hey, let's show up at this time and, make sure you wear solid colors or whatever, right? Or get your makeup done professionally and that's it.
Yeah.
Because that's what most brand photographers talk about.
Yeah. And even with the kids, I've had moms tell me that during the interview process, they've learned something that they didn't know about their kid, right? Because when you're an active listener and you kind of know how to dig in and uncover some things and they feel a safety with you, then, they'll go to places and start maybe maybe they didn't even think about it themselves until you started asking about it. And so it's been fun to find things out about kids. And then we can highlight that in the magazine.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit more because I think it's a unique part of your business for the business to business when you're doing the brand photography that like help me understand your business and help you tell the story. But it's the same kind of approach with the kids. So walk us through that process because I've never heard of anyone who does it the way you do.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a long process, and I'm coming to find out that it can feel a little overwhelming for mom. So we're really trying to break it down and make sure that, mom or dad or grandmother, whoever books it feels good about the process. But it's about an hour interview, and I love to do them in person if I can. I can do it via Zoom if need be, but that's the options, right? There's no phone call only. And there's not a template. I've had a lot of people ask me, can't you just send me the questions and I'll fill them out and answer them? And I don't have a template. I have some starter questions and I have some go-tos, but what I find is that usually the answers to the first 4 or 5 questions drive all the rest of the questions. You can tell when a kid is just answering and there's no excitement, like which favorite color, blue, what's your favorite animal, dog, right? Versus when you start talking about something and you never know what it's going to be until you see their body language change. You see the little sparkle in their eye. You see the grin, even though, especially like with the middle schoolers, you see them like fighting the smile because they don't really want to smile and be, they're trying to be cool. And then you start digging in there, whatever that is. And so I interview them and then I need a couple weeks. I can't do it, back to back. So I do the interview. I take a few weeks. I think about what are the sets going to be. Every spotlight session has usually around 4 sets. And
you make them from scratch.
I mean, I go antiquing for props. I make props. I find backdrops. Sometimes I have a lot of things in my house that I can kind of pull together. And I figure out what are those 4 sets. We're going to tell the whole story, but we're going to do it visually through 4 sets. And so what are those going to be? And so then, yeah, like you said, I have to go source all the stuff and kind of figure it out from a creative standpoint. So then we have another quick call just to finalize any clothing. Sometimes I might find something that we're going to use if there's a special jacket or a special dress that somebody needs. But normally we can get clothes from the closet because it's all about them as they are right now. So we know, parents don't really have a big expense in going and finding clothing. But we want things to look good together. And so we talk about that. And that's usually a pretty quick call right before the shoot. And then we have the shoot. It's a couple of hours. It's about 3 hours. I shouldn't say a couple. It's about 3 hours. And then it's another couple weeks because I have to take the images, cull them, edit them, put them in the magazine, and design the magazine. I don't have a template magazine design because it's going to be based on the personality of the kid, right? So if that kid is a fun-loving, little girl that loves pink and bubbles and, bubble gum, then that's what the magazine is going to look like. If it's a high school senior boy who's into gaming, right, it's going to have a very different feel. And so the magazine design comes based on the personality of the child as well. And then they'll get the digital images, but really the thing is the keepsake magazine that they can touch and feel. And I've had the question about why a magazine and why not a photo album. Photo albums go up on a bookshelf, and usually the children aren't allowed to touch them. And this is about the kid. So you get 2 copies of the magazine, one from mom and dad and one for the kid to have. And I hope that, every client I've ever had, I hope the kid gets their copy, right? And then you can buy additionals and we can make an album from the photos. We can make wall art from the album. That's all something we talk about afterwards. But getting that copy of that magazine is really the keepsake.
Yeah. So tell me more about why you source all of these things and build the sets in this AI world. And we all think Photoshop can do everything, which I guess it can. I've learned Photoshop. It's so hard to do any of the things that people think Photoshop can actually do. Mm-hmm. But why build those sets from scratch? Why not just AI it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it brings up the AI question too, right? And every photographer kind of gets asked, what do you think about AI? Are you worried about it? Are you afraid of it? What are you thinking? And I love AI. It helps do a lot of things in our life. It helps keep things straight from just a tool. I use it as a tool, and I think it's very valuable. When it comes to imagery, though, I do think there's a place for it. I think there's some fantasy photographers that take children and put them in these fantasy environments and scenes, and it really does become a piece of art. And I think there's a place for that. I love that. I don't do it, but I love it. And I think as long as you know going into it, that's what you're doing, it's great. And that's something we wouldn't have been able to do before. But what I do is trying to capture the reality of that child today so that you remember it. So it's not about the fantasy, it's about the reality. And so I keep it, it's in the camera. We got to capture it in the camera because it's real and it's who that kid is right now. And if they make that silly face and they have that beat up stuffed animal that they never go anywhere with, it's going to be in the picture. Now, could I do some of my stuff with AI? Most certainly. I could. I don't need to bring 100 donuts to have big stacks of donuts sitting around someone for a shoot, but I do. And the reason for that is because it's about the experience for the kid. So if I asked a kid to sit in front of a backdrop of donuts and there was nothing around her and I asked a kid to act like there were donuts or sit there and then take her picture and then she would see the picture with the donuts later, there's no memory there. There's no experience that kid had.
Yeah.
But when that kid is sitting surrounded by stacks of donuts that are as tall as she is sitting, that's now an experience that child is going to remember. A baseball player, when we catch the paper on fire, so it looks like this baseball player hit the ball through the paper so hard that it caught the paper on fire, that kid remembers being in the yard and, his dad helping put the fire out before it caught the grass on fire. There's a whole experience there. And so I want that kid to feel like the king or the queen for the day, the star. Someone other than their family members took time to do things for them and listen because this is all about them and their favorite candies there for the snack or the favorite music is playing while we're shooting, whatever the case may be. So it's important for me not to use the AI for that, but I'm not opposed to it. And I do think there's a time and place for it. On the personal branding side, I think you have to really think through what you're trying to say. And if your business is built on relationship with your client, then my suggestion is that you do not use AI for your imagery because people can tell. Even if it's really good, the sparkle in the eye, the connection to the camera when you take a good shot, it's not going to be there. And if you get found out, it can do real damage to your brand. So either do it and lean into it and make it a thing. And maybe you're looking for clients who appreciate someone who can do that well and who is using the latest and greatest technology. And if that's the case, go for it. If it's about a real relationship with your clients, though, I would be very careful.
I tell people all the time, use it, but if you're going to use it on brand photography and photos of you, make it clear that you used AI. Right? So make a cartoon version of yourself. Or I have an image that I created for a presentation where I talk about it, utilizing AI, and that made me into a robot, right? And so it's obviously not me.
Yes.
Where it gets weird, I think, is when people are like, somebody actually posted about this on Facebook. We're doing, my company is doing updated headshots, but they don't want to pay for a photographer. So they're putting all our old photos into AI and they're going to change the background. And then they're like, they warped my face. What should I do? Am I allowed to say anything? It was a fascinating discussion. Yes. And it was a group of women in marketing. And they were like, what can I do if my company takes my face and runs it through AI and changes it? Do I have any rights?
Yeah, it's your face and you do. And it's all about time and place. And I think if you're using it to try to trick people, or if it's supposed to look real, or you're trying to use it as though it was real and it's not, you probably are in a gray area. If you're using it for fun and to be silly, or, to show what you can do because that's what your client's looking for, then by all means, I think it's a great tool.
I feel that way about video too, because there are these tools that will do a video avatar of you, and you upload a picture and then it'll make videos,
and
right?
Deliver the speech for you and you don't have to deliver it. Mm-hmm.
And they look creepy. And they're getting better and better and better, but they're not there. And I don't know if they ever will be. And so I get asked this almost weekly. Hey, can you just make an AI avatar version of me and I'll put that out? And I'm like, I could. Is it going to look weird and creepy? And are people going to be like, okay, that's not really them? Then yes, the answer is yes. And do you want that? We have such a trust recession happening right now with all of the AI slop that's out there. And I use AI in my business and I teach how to use AI in business. So I love it. But we have so much AI slop out there that it's hard to know what's real and what's not. And so I'm a purist on, keep it as real as possible. Be yourself. People don't mind the ums and the ahs, and that they'd rather have the real.
Well, and just be clear when you're using it. Be honest about it. Just make it upfront. And I think a tricky place to be with the speaking is, you're going to get some recognition or some business or whatever the case may be. But at some point, you're going to be standing in front of a group of real people and you're going to be expected to deliver that same quality. And if you can't, you've just outed yourself. So I think it's, again, I'm a fan and I use it, but I think you have to be careful with it.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that you do is the pictures inside the box, and then you put them all together, kind of Brady Bunch style.
Yeah.
How does that, do you have like all these boxes and you're like, how does that work?
Yeah. So it's a very fun way to get a family photo, or even you can just have your kid and be in all the boxes, right? It doesn't have to be your whole family. So it really is a super easy way to make a very custom set for a family. But I do have a 4-foot wide by 4-foot high by 3-foot deep box on wheels, on casters. I can put, if they're small children, I can put a family of 5 in the box all at the same time. Bigger children, maybe family of 4, right? It kind of depends. And there's one box, and we plan out what is the final product. You kind of have to start with the final product. What do you want that to look like? It could be a very small 2x2, so you got 4 boxes. It could be a 3x3, which is the 9-up, which is the most popular. But you could make a Christmas tree shape. You could make any shape you wanted out of these boxes and put them together. And so we figure out what that's going to be. What is the piece of wall art that you're going to be going with? What is that going to look like? Then we figure out how many boxes, and we figure out who are all the people going to be in the shot. And so if it's about a particular child or maybe siblings, right, we keep the box very clean. We keep it plain. It's white. And the kids have the same outfit on for all the boxes, but they're doing different things, or maybe different toys, or, maybe one kid is by himself in this box and the other kid's by themselves in this box. In the middle, they're together. And we can just do fun things with that. If it's more of a themed shoot where we kind of are highlighting a family or just a group of people, we might put some decor in the box. So I recently did family in the box session with a family that loves going to national parks and go hiking. And so there was some pictures of different national parks on the back of the box. We had some little maps in some of the boxes. So all the boxes were slightly different. And they wore their vests and their hats, and the dad and the daughter have walking sticks. They're very important to them when they go hiking. So their walking sticks were with them. And we did mom and dad. We did the 2 siblings. We did the siblings by themselves. And then of course, we had to do mom and daughter, mom and dad, and, so on and so forth. So we mixed it all up. And then we put a 3x3, so a 9-up together and matted it. It's ready to frame and ready to hang on the wall. And it just really captures them as a family and their love of going hiking in the national parks. So it's very customizable. It's a lot of fun. One of the one of the benefits that people don't think about all the time is doing a big family photo. You can't always get everybody together. And so if you've got family that's in town and you want to get them done, we'll do those. And then you got the college kids who aren't coming home till the following weekend. Then the next weekend we come and we put them in a different box, and then we put them all together, and then you still have them all in one image, but they're in the separate compartments of the box. So a benefit to doing the family photography is that way for sure.
Oh, that's such a great point, because we have that challenge,
Yep.
right? Just trying to get everybody. We haven't had a family picture in like 2 years, because it's hard to get everybody at the same time and not have it be on Christmas Day.
Right.
When no one wants to come take pictures of us.
And there is something about a family photo where we're all together and we're crowded in on the couch and everybody's climbing on each other. There is something to that. But if you can't do that, this is a great way to kind of capture everyone at that time. And when you see the image, even though you maybe weren't there together, because you're family and you have all these memories of events and things, it doesn't feel like that. You really still can call upon the sense of it's a family unit, even if you weren't all there together at the same time.
Yeah. And you only have one box, right?
You have
so
one
you take the pictures in the box, and then in post you put it in
This
these
is
3x3s.
where you use some AI and some Photoshop magic appropriately, in my opinion, to then build those boxes. However, and that's why you can do a Christmas tree shape. You can do, whatever shape you want it to do. We just have to figure out how to make the squares go together. Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Tell us about your favorite shoot with a kid. Like your favorite kid. It was so fun because you did whatever. Or you can pick two.
Oh, goodness. I don't know that I have a favorite shoot with a kid. I think what I have favorite sets.
Oh, okay.
So different sets might be from different kids. I recently did a set where this little boy, and it was one of my younger, so 3 years old is about as young as you want to go for the magazine, because you need the child to have opinions and thoughts and be able to have a conversation. And this was a very advanced 3-year-old, and his entire life was around swimming. And so I was like, we can't not do it. I was like, all right, here we go. We're going to figure this out. And so mom had to agree to be in the pool with him at all times. I figured out how to do some underwater stuff. And we got in the pool and we did underwater, and it was the best time, right? And so, that was my favorite for a lot of reasons. One is it was fun seeing him and his mom in the pool, and it was fun seeing him getting to do some things that I don't think mom always lets him do, like jumping off the side. So that was fun. And then it was a challenge for me, which was fun and good, because I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? But we figured it out. So that was a good one. And then, the littles are all fun. Like, I can't pick the little ones are always fun, and the things they like to do. I've had ice cream, I've had donuts, baseball and gaming and lemonade stands and all that. I guess one of my other favorites was a high school senior that I had shied away from in the beginning of my business. I was like, this is for little kids.
Yeah.
Because high school seniors are scary when it comes to doing senior photography. The expectations of what seniors are looking for now in photography is just, it felt unattainable for me, honestly. But we did one, and I've done several now, and they are a lot of fun. The posing is very different, especially with a high school senior girl. We can do a little more, magazine cover kind of poses and the dresses, and we can have fun with that. But it's hard with the littles. You can't really do that with the littles. And she's one of the moms who told me she learned things about her daughter that she did not know. And so it's fun to get to know them at that level.
Yeah.
And then when they walk in and they see the first set, they're always, it's surprising. And so her shoot was a lot of fun, and from start to finish, actually.
I know the one you're talking about because I've seen the pictures and they're incredible.
Yeah.
They're incredible. Because I think one of the things I love about what you do is you give these kids an experience. And I think in our phone obsessed world,
Right.
we don't have a lot of experiences anymore. I feel like that even in my own life. Like, I don't feel like I do things in the way that I used to do things. And I see that with my son too. And I think kind of going old school, as it were, and building the sets and having it be, having the donuts right there. It not only creates the great photography, but it creates that experience that I don't think kids are getting these days.
It creates a memory. Like it creates a pretty strong memory. I don't want to say it's a core memory, but I do think it's a pretty strong memory that kids will carry with them. So I try to do at least one set that's just really going to be exciting for them. Hopefully they all are, but I try to do at least one.
Here.
Yeah.
One of the things that you and I talk about a lot, because we're in a lot of networking groups together, and is how to evolve the business and how to evolve the messaging and evolve our offer, right? I've been doing this 5 years. What I've offered has evolved quite a bit. How do you think about that? How have you approached that in your business? Because I've seen your business evolve too, right? Kind of for kids, and then you got a lot of questions for brand photography, and now you get to do both. And then you realize that there was this storytelling side that you were doing with the kids that would help with the brand photography. So kind of walk us through that evolution of your brand, because it's been fun to watch from my perspective, and I know I'm always struggling with it.
Yeah. I think it's hard when you're sitting in it to see it. And sometimes you need an outside person to just kind of help you move through the emotion and, all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it, because every bit of it seems important to you when you're building it. And I was all about the children photography, and the personal branding kind of happened. And then I realized I also loved that as well. And so the brand evolved just because of the work that was coming in, and I found out I loved it. But then the messaging really stalled, and I struggled. And I needed outside help to come in and say, we got a clarity message. Message is not clear because I was talking to moms and I was talking to business owners. And in my mind, like you said, the storytelling was the key. It's the same work. I don't know how many times I said that. I serve two different audiences by doing the same work, but it comes out, I don't remember what I used to say, but it was a mess. And so I really needed that outside person to look at it and say, you have a B2B and you have a B2C side of your business, and you need to talk about them separately. And so once I separated them, that clarity just almost immediately settled in. And now I can talk to moms about those memories and capturing their child in this stage, whatever stage they're in right now, and telling that kid's story. And then I can talk separately in my other part of my business clearly to founders about their brand. And if the first line on their website could be copied and pasted to anybody else serving the same audience, then it's not unique. So we got to figure out, what are you bringing to the table here in this particular offering? So I struggled with it myself, and then I saw how the clarity helps. And so that made me even kind of double down, honestly, on helping other brands do it too, because it's hard when you're sitting in the middle of it.
Yeah, and you're right. We can't see the label from inside the bottle.
Right.
And we all need someone to help us to see it better.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say, I am not a marketer, and I am not going to help you with your marketing. I am the work you do before you hire the marketer.
Yeah.
Because if you go to a marketer and you have a messy story and it's not clear and you don't know who you're talking to, then there can be some great marketing and it may or may not work. But if you can go to your marketing person that's going to help you with that side, with a clear message, that's a really great, compelling story, then that marketing effort is going to, it's going to be more valuable for you.
And I see it all the time. People will tell me, oh, I spent $10,000 on Facebook ads and I didn't get anything from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, who was your target audience? Well, just, everybody.
20 to 50-year-old women who work or don't work and maybe have kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The audience isn't niche. And I say, well, what was the message that you went out with? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I just had the agency do it. And you're like, okay, well, what were the visuals? And and sometimes they just don't even, they don't even really know, or what was the offer? And they're like, well, it was a $10,000 offer. And you're like, shit, my 10,000 offers, I can work for that. So you're right. You have to have some of those fundamental pieces done first to have the strategy nailed down before you decide, I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to do ads. I'm going to, even do brand photography, right? Do I need brand photography? Am I even the face of this thing, right? What does that even look like? So it's such important work. It's such important work to do. But I like that you're willing to kind of share the struggle, because I feel that, right? I feel that all the time. And like, what do I say and what don't I? And how do I shift? And how do I shift from what I've been known for? And it feels so awkward.
Yes, it does. And I've done the Facebook ads that got nothing, and I've done all of that and seen it. And then I think what happens is it's so basic, and it's really actually quite easy if you can see it, that it feels too basic. Like I'm past that. I don't need that. I'm beyond that. And I think a lot of business owners are beyond it, but they got to step back for a second and just make sure it's clean. And it does need to be rethought. The story changes as someone develops and the brand changes and grows and becomes something different. You got to retell that story. It's just and maybe it's the same story, but it's some new chapters in the story, right? And that just gives you your ongoing content. And I think it feels really basic for people. And I think it seems like they've already done that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they actually really did it.
Yeah. It's one of those things that people dismiss very quickly. Yeah. And they don't realize that they haven't really checked those boxes in the way that they need to.
Yeah.
And I know that you have kind of a gang of fellow entrepreneurs that that you hang out with, other solopreneurs. You're really active in marketing. So tell us how being active in the community and active in all the groups that you're active in really has helped to kind of grow your business.
Yeah, networking is hard. Everyone says that you either love networking or you hate networking. And networking, I have found it to be one of those things that you start really good you get a good start at it, you start going, and then you feel like you got it. And so you show up at the networking event and you leave the networking event. And then the next day you're like, man, I don't know that I really got anything out of that networking event. What happened? And so we get lazy with our networking. We get lazy with our follow up after the networking event. We get lazy with having a goal when we go into it because we got to know, we know everyone, right? You've been going to that networking event, you know everyone. I don't have a goal walking in here. I'm just going to chat with my friends. So then you realize that. So then you back it up, you start over, and then it's just this perpetual cycle, right, of going through. And so one thing I've started doing lately is going to new networking groups. I'm very active in about 4 groups, but I've started doing, you can visit other groups for a few times for free and see, what they're like, see what the vibe is, see, a couple visits might be all it takes to kind of get a little, little foot in the door somewhere. And that's really allowed me to get out of that lazy, I already know everyone, I don't have a goal when I walk in, or I'm not going to follow up afterwards.
I had such a good lesson in networking a number of years ago when I was first starting this business. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Went to one of my local chambers and I was like, I'm going to find the mavens of the group, right? The person who knows everyone, right? And clearly is working the room. And I want to go ask them for advice on how to do this networking thing, right? And I want to become friends with them so they introduce me to people.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
And so I ended up staying afterwards, went to, and I had coffee with this woman. I was like, so tell me, what do you do? How frequently do you meet with people? How do you follow up? All that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, how much business do you get from this group? She said, well, I used to get a lot. But what happened over time was everyone became my friends and they all know me now. And we went I got friend zoned by everyone, and they don't buy from me anymore because they don't even really know what I do. Even though I tell them what I do, they kind of forget, right? The me being their friend has eclipsed what I can do for them professionally. And it gets weird because now we're friends. So for me to be like, hey, you want to buy my product? It's like, you can't, right? You can't sell them. You can't add them to your list anymore. You can't, you missed that window of selling to them. And so there is this fine balance.
Yeah. And I've, some of the groups that I'm in, the Little Elm Chamber of Commerce, I'm very active in because that's where my business is and that's where I live. And I do enjoy and find it important. I think it's important to give back to your community. So I am an ambassador in that chamber and I try to give back there. And then I'm on the Little Elm Education Foundation for the ISD as a kind of a new role. And so giving back in that area. I'm also a member of the Rotary, which I need to get better. I'm not a good member of the Rotary right now. So I need to work on that. But they do some great work in the community as well. And so I've been able to participate in some of their community service projects, which are all awesome and great. And I have a ginormous stack of plastic bags at my house that we are cutting and making into long strips that we can crochet into waterproof mats. So, but I have been missing some meetings lately. So I need to get better about the Rotary. But I love giving back to those areas, and I love the opportunities when you have a big group like that you can make a bigger impact than if it was just yourself. So being able to be part of those has been great.
And the relationships you build when you're giving back, somehow they're always different than the ones that you build when you just go to the meeting. So you're like, hey, here's my 30-second pitch. Can you buy from me? Can I buy from you? Yeah. And that's it, right? There's something very different because we're there with a service mindset.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I know you have a special offer for our listeners. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so we'll put a link for everyone, but I just wanted to give back to your community as well. I've enjoyed being part of it on the other side, and so now being part of it on this side, I just wanted to give back a little. So, whether you're a founder that's ready to have that clarity conversation, or whether you're a mom or grandparent and you're looking to kind of capture your child in this stage, it's just a little gift that you can find at the link that we'll provide. And just my way to get back to your listeners.
Oh, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Of course.
And I'm so glad you're here. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
And-
thanks for having me. This has been
And remind us where we can find you if we want to find you.
Yeah. So again, we have two parts of the business. So if you want to talk about the children and family photography, it's super easy. It's paulawardphotography.com. Also the same on Instagram. And if you're a founder looking for clarity, it's storyfirstbypaula.com.
Okay, story first.
Story first.
IRST. Okay.
Yeah, story first. You got to get the story first.
Okay, great.
And then the rest will follow. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.